Good day, everybody. We are here at May 13th, 2025. I'm Connor with Honor. Let's talk about three things. Your real estate update for Santa Clarita Valley. We're going to talk about fat loss and muscle building, some of the things that you need to know as the world continues to add more and more medications to that process. And then, of course, finally, artificial intelligence. Is it really going to be the end of all things, or will it be the perfect world to live in whenever it gets fully integrated with all the other systems, which you know it happened. Here's where we're going to start with real estate. Currently, we have 712 total active listings on the market. That's going to be single family residences, condominiums, and townhomes all across Santa Clarita Valley. What you need to know right now if you're considering selling is don't be so concerned with that listing price. What you need to be concerned with is your property being dialed in before it's released onto the market. You need to make sure that when your agent walks through, they're talking about all the available spaces and actually having all of the rooms return to their fully intended purpose when the home was built. So if you have taken a bedroom and you've converted it to an office over the years, and that's where you get all your work done, that room needs to be converted back to a bedroom because most buyers are looking for those bedroom count, not an internal office. Now, when you start breaching the $1 million price point and way above that, then of course you're going to have a lot of other extras with the residents. But we're talking for, some $1 million in price range, 700,000 to $1 million. Usually those buyers are looking to have all of those intended spaces on the walkthrough return to what they actually were intended by the builder, by the original owner, by the people that put the house together in the beginning. So if title is showing a particular bedroom count and they're walking through and they're missing one, even though one of those rooms happens to have been converted to an office, for a lot of buyers, that's a difficult bridge to gap. They're thinking, well, that's an office, it's not a bedroom. There's not a bed in there. And believe you me, I know to a lot of folks it might sound a little critical, but it is really the buyer's choice if they're walking through that residence, if they're not seeing something that is actually the bedroom, it's been converted to an office, but not a bedroom, it's difficult to bridge that gap for a lot of people. So do yourselves a favor. It doesn't cost a lot. In fact, the bed doesn't have to even be real. It just has to have a blanket covering it and resemble a bed. That's typically good enough. And also, the smaller the bed, maybe the better, maybe more advantage, because usually extra bedrooms are going to be used for maybe family, but a lot of cases smaller sized individuals like children, right? So usually those bedrooms are going to be outfitted for them. So the smaller beds aren't going to be a problem, but it will show the way that the room's laid out a lot better. If you're looking online, you'll be seeing listings that have been advertised and they're going to be showing particular amenities with a residence and also particular types of furniture installed. In some cases, those aren't real, folks. Those have been manipulated and have other furniture placed into the room, which is fine as long as everything is ratioed out correctly so that the has not been expanded to allow for larger furniture to be placed, but it was the original dimensions of that particular home. And you'll know this very quickly when you go out and you actually look at the residence in person with your agent or during an open house. You'll see whether or not it has been manipulated in some way online versus how it looks in real life. Don't let that be too big of a deal for you. But again, if you are hoping for that extra floor space and that photograph of that large kitchen with all that extra counter space is what sold you, you might be disappointed when you go look at the residence. That's why whenever most agents list things, they stay away from that manipulation of the photographs, because when you go and look at the property, then it doesn't look right. So just be wary, understand that does exist out there. I don't see a way to combat that more than just bringing your awareness to it. Let's talk about fat, muscle building, and fat loss. Right now, there's a lot of medications. Yesterday, I believe, the president signed a reduction in pharmaceutical costs, basically putting us closer to the other countries and what they pay. And if you've ever done any traveling outside this country, you'll find out that medicines, prescription, over the counter in those countries, even with whatever currency exchange rate they have, those medicines are actually a lot less expensive than we would pay here. God forbid not having insurance. But again, not having insurance, you do pay the full brunt of those medicines. Now, when you are looking for medication, there are different apps, GoodRx and these sorts of things that will allow for there to be some kind of a discount on the medicines themselves. But without that, I mean, dollars to get just a simple antibiotic pill that the doctor prescribed, very, very expensive. But that's changing now. So having said that, the fat loss medications, those that will curb your diet and slow your digestive processes, those are going to be a lot less expensive. I know I was watching a show yesterday. I guess it was actually Trump commenting on a friend of his that was very obese, and this particular friend was paying over $1,000, I guess, for one of these GLP-1 agonists, these loss type injection medicines. So he's paying a lot, but now in another country, when he went on some kind of vacation, I believe it was, $100, so like a less. Well, actually, I take that back. So somewhere around 80% less that was going to be when he purchased it out of this country, not in the United States. So those numbers coming down, it's going to make those medicines a lot more available to people. And I will tell you, just be wary, because when you start taking these things, if you're not doing anything to keep that muscle you have, that muscle's going to go. It's going to go, it's going to disappear, just for the simple fact that you will start burning it, because your caloric intake is going to be so low, and you will be very happy with that caloric intake. You're not going to be as hungry as you would be without this particular drug. But I always tell my clients, please don't get too excited with it, because the easy road sometimes isn't the best road. That's a great entryway into artificial intelligence. Not that it's easy. There's a lot of stuff happening on that particular front. When you have a technology that is here and people are constantly talking about job displacement and those other issues, one of the things that I will tell you is, I tell my clients, it is something to be concerned about. And then the people, the billionaires controlling the technology or developing it and building onto it, they're very happy to say that it's going to create some job loss, but those people just need to go out and get retrained in another field that incorporates artificial intelligence into their business. And I guess that would apply until now the AI is trained up to that point by those particular people to be able to incorporate it into their business. Now those people are SOL. Now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do for their life. Be wary with this. I know that it is something that's moving so incredibly fast. It's basically in everything. We see it in our advertising, our marketing, our social media. And I will tell you, whatever you're seeing, find out what that source is if you can, and verify it before you believe it. Don't just run off half-cocked and think, you know what, this is fact because it's being said by somebody I know and trust. That person that you know and not have had anything to do with what's the deep fake or the information that you're watching them say, literally in their own voice, out of their own mouth. It is that deceptive. So make sure you verify everything before believing it and before owning it. One of the things that I tell people is make sure you have a guideline. I don't know what that's going to be. In my case, it's the Bible, the 10 Commandments. This kind of keeps me centered. And whether you believe the story or not, it is something that a document doesn't change over time. If you get the original King James Version, New King James, the ones, the Bible that are in print, you have that in your hand, and you can verify that against all sources, even if in the future, through deep fakes, that story, those ideals that are contained in that scripture, if they start to modify and change, you can always go back to the original and verify. Well, you know what? It used to be this, but now this system is telling me that it's this. Instead of love your neighbor, maybe it's make love to your neighbor, or whatever it may be. That subtle change happening over 10 years, 2 or 3 years, that could be enough to switch the entire pivotal point of society to a place that might not be great for everyone. That's why it's so important to pay attention, have some kind of grounding, some kind of understanding. And I know I'm going off into the weeds here with all this, but it is important for you to know what you're reading is actually true, verified fact, and not to believe everything that's being presented. What can you do to best make your adjustments to try to have the longevity and the sustained living ability when this technology starts to really become incorporated into the world? I don't believe it's going to stop. I believe it's going to continue. And I'm not against it, but I am against the way that it's being developed, because there are no guardrails or rules, because we are so concerned about another country actually running amok and getting ahead of us in this particular AI race. Something to watch out for in addition to that is just watching the technology, interact with it, talk to it, do your inquiries, ask it about itself. Just figure out slowly, you don't have to pay for it. Just figure out slowly how it's going to fit into your life. If you happen to be in a particular profession, watch what your bosses say, the people that are above you, when they are talking about it. And I look police officers In particular, right now, they don't have that robotic arm, just like plumbers and electricians. They don't have the skilled enough robot to be able to do those jobs. But eventually, just like you see the movies there, these robots will be able to replace pipes and enforce laws. And I do know that China's working with these police type robots as well. Is that going to be something that's going to actually come afoot here in the next 20, 30 years? And then you might be asking yourself, well, you know what, I'm 50, I'll be 56 this weekend myself. You know, going to be here in 30, 40 years? Yeah. I believe if I hold on the next 5 to 10 years and remain as healthy as possible, then there's going to be implementation in place that's going to allow me to extend my life, maybe into as long as I want to go. But right now, that could be the extension then of life if the technology allows for it. And of course, if it's released to everybody, could be, 50 years, 20, 50 years. But then in that period of time, while with all the developments and everything else, another 50 years and then so on, you can see where I'm going with that. Be good to yourselves. Take care of each other. When you're online, just make sure what you're seeing is actually true, and do some verification for yourself. Involve some critical thought in what you're looking at, whether you're looking at somebody talking about real estate, fat loss and the weight loss drugs and trying to build muscle, and make sure that's important to you, because this body is what you're going to have. This body currently isn't able to be changed, although maybe in the future it will be able to be changed dramatically, but don't bet on that. Don't try to hold on because you're hoping for something else. Keep yourself in the best shape possible. Watch out for yourselves. More advice. Connor with Honor. Be well. We will see you in the next one.